156th and Maple, where a Douglas County Sheriff's deputy involved in yesterday's standoff is speaking to the media right now.
Let's listen in.
So I wasn't immediately thinking, okay, I'm going to wind up going out there. I'm off duty. I'm on my way home. Heard the suspect information get broadcast out over the radio, and I thought to myself, you know, on my way home, I don't live too far from that area. I'll keep an eye out for the suspect vehicle. About 2:19, I was at 132nd and L Street, and I heard an Omaha police canine unit indicate that they were in the area of the suspect's apartment and that they needed additional units there to assist them. Southwest Dispatch dispatched 2 cars to assist that unit, but those cars were coming from the area of 90th Pacific Street, and I was within about 2 miles of the officer's location, so I hit on duty and told radio that I'd go and assist the King unit at that suspect's apartment. When I arrived there, one of our vice narcotics officers had also just arrived there to assist, and shortly after that, a couple more Omaha police officers arrived. We decided to attempt to locate the suspect's apartment to determine whether he was at his apartment or if he was still out with the potential to shoot up more places. When we made the approach to the apartment building, we're trying to figure out a way to get into the apartment building itself because it had a secure entry. When another deputy noticed that a ground floor patio door was ajar, and he called it out to all the other officers, and then a white male came out from around the corner, and we saw him at the patio door, and we asked if he'd let us into the apartment building, and immediately he started saying, "Who are you? Get out of here, get lost." And right about the time that I'm about to say, "I think this is our guy," another officer asks, "What's your name?" And he says, "Dwight," which was the name that we had for the suspect. We all immediately drew down on him and gave him orders to, don't move, get down on the ground, and things of that nature. He slammed the door, retreated back into the apartment, and as every officer started to move to an area of cover or concealment, shots began coming out the windows of the apartment at us.
How would you describe what is going through your mind at that point?
It's quite surreal. Everything kind of slows down. What probably only took fractions of a second seemed like an eternity. Things get real focused at that time, and you can hear the slightest sound. Your heightened awareness and everything else. Your training starts to kick in. You're checking with everybody else, make sure they're okay, that they didn't get hit, and they're checking with you to make sure that you didn't get hit. I remember at one moment when we were hunkered down behind a vehicle in the parking lot, the gravel in the parking lot was quite painful to be kneeling on, and my breathing got a little heavy. And one of our deputies who was there looked back at me and goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." He's like, "Okay, you're breathing. Remember our tactical breathing. They teach us how to breathe a special way to help us calm ourselves down, help relieve pain and things like that." And just little cues like that from each other, reminding us how to make ourselves better, to be safer in a situation like that.
As you're hearing these shots, do you ever fear for your life that one of them may hit you?
Oh, absolutely. The first volley of rounds that came through the window, I mean, you hear that glass break and the pop of the gun, and you're thinking, oh boy, there's really no way to accurately describe what you're thinking and feeling at that very moment, other than maybe a slight sense of panic and fear. But you're thinking to yourself, I got to get out of this situation. What do I need to do to win the fight?
Obviously, I know you have family. What did you do when you went home?
I went home and my wife and my 1-month-old daughter were sitting in the recliner, and I just kind of walked in and said, "I love you." Gave my wife a big hug and a kiss, picked my baby daughter up and gave her a hug and a kiss, and just kind of sat there holding her for a few minutes.
What did they say to you when you walked in the door?
She asked if I was all right. It was it was an emotional experience. At the scene, you've got all that adrenaline going through you, and it doesn't really hit you at that moment what could have been the outcome. But then you get around your loved ones, the adrenaline's gone, and the emotion can hit you at that point.
You can kind of describe what happened with the suspect. You talked about the shots coming out the window. He was probably lucky to survive in it. That's not a good thing to do, obviously. Kind of describe what went through your mind in dealing with the suspect until he was in the back of the cruiser.
After the initial shots came out, there were 5 of us officers in a position of cover behind the vehicle in the parking lot. It's a rather small area for 5 larger gentlemen to be hiding behind. Luckily, we had one of our deputies arrive with a ballistic shield to provide us a little better cover, and we took turns relieving each other to cover the windows in case the suspect were to try breaching the windows again, getting out. We knew we had a daycare just 100 yards to the west of us, and a school, several schools within the area. And if the suspect were to attempt to flee, we needed to stop him from getting away. Complicating matters is we had a pit bull in the parking lot that kept barking and made communication with the suspect extremely difficult, because we'd be trying to talk to him, and the dog would bark and bark and bark, and we couldn't hear what the suspect was saying to us. Later we found out that pit bull was indeed the suspect's dog, but the dog never really posed a threat. It was just complicating matters. We wanted to bring this to a peaceful resolution to the best of our abilities, but at the same time, we have an obligation to keep everybody else safe and an obligation to our families to come home at the end of the night. I think everybody there knew that if the situation presented itself to where he was going to pose an immediate threat to our lives or the lives of others, that we would have to take the shot and eliminate the threat.
Are you
From there,
surprised
like the
he's
SWAT team and the negotiator showed up, and then just kind of wound it down from there?
Yeah, we're really lucky that we have interoperable communications through the Douglas County Communications Center, so they were able to patch through Douglas County Dispatch with Southwest Dispatch, so we didn't have to coordinate what channel we were on or anything else, and it really, I believe, helped facilitate the rapid deployment of the emergency services units on scene there.
Are you surprised at all he surrendered and no one got hurt at the end, but are you surprised he surrendered instead of another outcome?
With the recent LaRue standoff that we had, and you think the 25-hour standoff and how that went, you fear for the worst, but you hope for the best. I do think most of us were surprised that once the negotiator got talking to him that it came to such a swift resolution. But the law enforcement here in the Omaha metro area is extremely well trained, and I know that as an agencies as a whole, we've got that training that we can bring these situations to a peaceful conclusion. It's just really up to the suspect's willingness to come to that peaceful conclusion.
Obviously, you go through training for certain situations like this. Have you had to use this in real life before? Have you been in a situation like this when you have bullets coming at you?
This is 16 years with the Sheriff's Office. This is honestly the first time that bullets have come this close to me. I've been in the area where shots have been fired before, but this was really the first time where you could hear the bullets flying by you. I've worked standoff situations before on several occasions, and we train constantly. I mean, every year we do an active shooter training. The last year and a half, 2 years, our training division has really concentrated on active shooter, standoff type situations, barricades. So I think we're very well trained for these situations. And one of the nice things is our training division communicates very well with the Omaha Police Training Division, so that because our jurisdictional lines are overlapping so much, that we're trained in similar ways, so that when we are on these calls together, we're operating under the same training and principles.
Captain said there was a shotgun involved. Did that change the way you know, positioned yourself? Would that make it a little more?
You know, the way we positioned ourselves was kind of an emergency reaction. I mean, there were definitely better positions that we could have been in, and we would have liked to have worked ourselves to, but we weren't able to. Anytime a long gun presents itself, it's a serious threat. We knew we were dealing with a shotgun and not a high-powered rifle, but a shotgun slug, which is what we had been informed that he was shooting, will usually rip through a level 2 vest, and the blunt force trauma, even wearing a level 3 vest, will cause serious injury to the person. Correct.
As you mentioned, this is next to daycare and a lot of other places. In the middle of all this, how is it not only fearing for your own life, but the other people around you as well, you know, and trying to keep them safe during this whole kind of active situation?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah, there's a lot of other businesses nearby in this whole area. When you're in that situation, also trying to defend yourself, what's it like to also, you know, keep an eye around your surroundings and trying to keep other people around you safe as well?
You know, it's stressful. In today's media age, everybody wants to be around with their cell phone camera, trying to get that awesome shot that they can, you know, get on YouTube or bring to the media for raw video footage. And so you worry about people trying to, you know, get a little too close, get in the danger zone and things like that. And that's why once we had enough officers to contain the situation there, we started coordinating how to cordon off the area and setting up an inner and outer perimeter to keep the public at a safe distance. You know, our first priority obviously is to contain the suspect, to limit the threat, and then from there work our way out to protect the public.
Are you a different person today than you were yesterday?
I like to think no. I've been doing this job for 16 years. I grew up with 2 parents in law enforcement. My brother's an Omaha police officer as well, and I like to think that I'm no different today than I was before this incident. Just had a scary moment.
So you have a huge law enforcement family then.
Yes.
Going all around. Have any of them been in any kind of real-life active shooter incidents?
Not an active shooter incident, but my brother was involved in an officer-involved shooting a couple years ago.
Well, I think that's it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
And you were just on the sergeant last week.
Last week.
Congrats.
Thank you.